Hi there, you're Tim. Welcome to another one of your design technology lessons or sessions during lockdown. Now, today, going to be really important couple of bits we're going to talk about. So, first and foremost, next week, so first week after half term, we as a school should be receiving the non-examined assessment contexts. We talked about these before the school closed for you. And the idea is they've always been released on the 1st of June. The exam board said last week it's still going to be the 1st of June, although obviously things might change between now and then. However, I want you guys to be as set up and prepared as possible because this is something that is actually worth part of your GCSE grades. So a lot of what we're going to look at today is going to be focused on preparing ourselves for the start of our non-examined assessment. It's just doing a few bits that will be really useful and get you on the right footing to start with. Okay. So, very clearly, we are going to try and launch it next week if it's released. So we get free contexts released by the exam board. So they're just free themes, so to speak, that we have to create projects around. I say we, you have to create projects around. We as teachers are there to support you. So we're trying to give you some advance notice now. So even if you only listen to the first minute or two of this video, or only look at the first two slides of this week's work, this is an important message. You need to make sure you are looking at the work after half term. Okay, if it changes about what we need to be doing, obviously I'll let you know after half term, but right now I'm telling you, you need to make sure you are paying attention after half term. So as it says here, you need to engage with the work after half term, communicate with staff if you have any problems. If you can't access a PowerPoint, a PDF, you don't have something like PowerPoint at home, whatever, tell us what the problems are and we will do our best to try and solve them for you. I want you to be able to access the work as best you can. So let me help you, okay? I can't help you if I don't know about a problem. And finally, the NEA is worth 50% of your D&T grade, so it's quite a big part. And you are required to work independently during some of this. The practical work you have to do under direct supervision by a D&T teacher in school, but actually the rest of it, you don't have to have direct supervision. So you can work independently at home, and research in particular, which is what you'll be doing between now and September, will be independent task anyway. So that's key bits about the launch next week. Moving now on to tasks that are going to help us and prepare us. So task one, okay, you're going to read through some slides here, and prepare your slides at home ready to work on, okay. If you don't have a computer or a laptop, don't worry, you can do things by hand and we can type it up in school, okay. So if at any point I'm saying I'll do this on PowerPoint, I'll do this on Word, you can just do it on by hand and draft it and then type it up. Don't just go, oh, I don't have a computer, I won't do it. That won't help you or us, okay, in helping you, okay. It does help if you've got PowerPoint because we do our portfolios on PowerPoint. That being said, if you don't have PowerPoint, and PowerPoint now costs a fortune for up-to-date license, what I used through everywhere up until I left university is a program called Open Office. It was a free office suite, does everything the same PowerPoint does. I think it was Open Office Impress was the free version of PowerPoint. I think Open Office Writer was the free version of Word. So there is a free version out there if you need it, but equally you can just write into a text box, WordPad or something, the notes page on an iPad and just save it, so you can just copy and paste that onto a PowerPoint at a later date. That's completely fine. You can write it in an email to me and then send it to me. Even if you don't do any formatting, your work will be fine. So hopefully you're getting the idea that I'm stressing that I'd like it just to do the work. Whether or not it looks pretty is a different matter. Just try and do some of the written stuff that we come across, okay? Just do the best you can. Okay. So what we're going to look at is setting up our pages. So if you do have PowerPoint or a similar program, we want to make sure our pages are all set up. And if we can do that in advance, it saves us a job once we're into the sort of timed period of time where we get the contexts from the exam board. So if you've got PowerPoint, what I'd like you to do here is open PowerPoint, click on Design at the top there in the blue box, then click on Slide Size, and it will already be preset as a landscape widescreen page, which is brilliant for presenting on a computer or on a TV or on a projector, but it's not very good when printing on an A4 printer or A3 printer. So you need to change custom slide size, and you want to then find the option for A3 printer, or A3 paper, sorry. That just automatically sets the paper to A3, and it'll still be small on your screen because it will scale it down on the screen. But be aware that that screen, that white background that you can see on this slide right now, is A3, so it's actually much bigger than you realise. A lot of people get confused there and still try writing really big because it fills the page. Need to remember that this is actually, when printed, a really big piece of paper. So we need to make sure you've got it set to A3. Really important. Next, I'll put this with the homework, and it'll go on the VLE. This is a NEA template slide. Okay, there's two slides which I'm going to show you. This would be a cover slide. Really straightforward. You take this slide, you change anything that's in red. At this point, you can only add your student name and candidate number. If you don't know your candidate number, don't worry, we'll find that for you later. We haven't got the context, we haven't chosen a project, so you can't change that bit in red at the bottom, but that gives you a cover page. You can then delete the yellow boxes, and then you've got a ready cover. Okay, we'll add some pictures and make it look pretty later because white background and standard writing, it looks a bit boring, but normally we ask people to add a picture of their final product or their best bit of designing. Do that at the end, that's completely fine. Okay, so that is our cover page, and that's part of the template package that you can open. And this is a standard page ready prepared. So what we ask for is that you use the same style in each page. So you get one page here. You can change the title bit, so it's in red there, but you can change the font. You can change, maybe it's in a text box, maybe you want a slightly different color for the title, fine. You can change the type of font for the main text. I know I'm looking at it right now, it's really quite small. That's okay, because remember, it's an A3 piece of paper, so when that's printed, it will actually be normal size text. You do need to change the student name and candidate number in the bottom left hand corner, so that is yours. And if you want to, I don't know, add a little logo or a bit of splash of colour here and there on the page, go for it. Don't change the background. I don't want a big orange or yellow or black background, because the school printers get a bit upset when you're printing that much ink. So keep it mainly a white background, but you can change the colour of text, you can change styles of writing, you can put boxes around things. It's completely fine. This is just going to be a blank page, and once you've done that, I'd like you to just copy it 10 times. So you've got 10 of this page through the folder, so we can just start typing straight into the page, and we're not having to worry about setting up the page each time. It'll save you, actually, having only started doing this a few years ago. It saves about 5 hours worth of time, I'd say, during the entire project of people just setting up a page. Do it half an hour right now, get it right, and then it's much easier later on. Okay. Obviously, if you don't have PowerPoint, you can't do this right now. OpenOffice Impress as a freebie, or if not, we're just going to work on paper and you can skip past this side. But this is just getting the foundations in place so you can start building on the context straight away next term. So the following tasks are practice tasks. They're designed to try and get your juices flowing, get you start thinking about how we might engage in the research and the context when they come out next week. So, as ever, if you have any problems, contact a teacher, okay, either me or Mr. Anderson, We want to help, and I want you to annoy me. If you're emailing me, dropping comments on Show My Homework, I'm happy, okay, because that means you're engaging in this, you're giving it a go. That's all I can ever ask, okay. If you're not doing it and you look at this and go, don't get it, so I won't do it, I can't help you, you can't help yourself, and it's going to have a long-term negative impact on you. So if you've got a problem, please shout. So this is section A, first part of the coursework is worth 10 marks out of the 100, 10% of the coursework or the NEA. So 5% of your overall final grade, because if it's 50-50, doesn't sound like much. Amazingly, like any building project, this is the foundations. These are the bits that everything's built on. If you don't get this right, the rest of it will suffer. So you need to get this bit done well, and it's only worth 10 marks, but we probably spend a lot more time than 10 marks on it. So we're going to analyze different contexts. So we're going to research and unpick and try and understand what these contexts are about. We're going to look at design possibilities. We're going to identify how we might solve it, and then we're going to do investigation throughout. So we don't just do research at the start and move on to design and make. We research, we do some designing, we go, oh, we need to do some more research. We try making something, go, that didn't work, or that did work, but I want to move on to the next step. I'll do some more research. So it's researching constantly. Okay, and you need to consider your client, local communities, the environment and bits, and we'll talk through some pages that will really help you do that, and we'll go through them step by step. So if you read the definitions, just keep them in mind. This is sort of part of the mark scheme. Each part of the mark scheme has a little paragraph that tells you what that part's about, and that's what we've just gone through there. So what is section A and what will you need to do? Okay, you need to analyze the contextual challenges. That's normally done as a mind map. We'll talk about that in a moment. We'll identify design possibilities. So identify what might you make. Okay, that is a really fun part of the project. What can I make? I can do loads of stuff. But it's also a really hard part of the project, deciding which one to pick. And we'll go through how we might solve that later. So we need to be open to lots of ideas, okay? And then we need to then focus on one of them, but we'll talk about that in more detail. So you then need to investigate what the client needs and wants. Look at the work of others, so product analysis. A lot of you have done access FMs before, so that type of thing. And then use a range of techniques. We're going to talk about the range of techniques to start. So, as I mentioned before, section A is only worth 10 marks, so it can't be that important, right? Wrong. As I said, really important. It's the basis that everything else builds from. Your designs link back to your research. Your making links back to the designs that links back to the research. You can't evaluate a decent product without decent designs, without decent research. So really important, okay? Normally, if you're getting level 7 in your research, it's a level 7 throughout the rest of the project from experience. So whatever grade you want, this is where you want to try and sort of get that home. Okay. So this is the mark scheme. I've identified the top band of the mark scheme. This is what we all want to aim for. Okay. So design possibilities identified. So what projects might there be? Identified. Explored. So researching that project. Okay. The link, make a real clear link to the context. We'll talk about that in the design brief stage as well. Demonstrate excellent understanding of the problems and opportunities. So you need to understand what you've researched as well. So it's all well and good getting some nice pretty pictures, but you need to understand what you've learned from there. Okay. So really important. Goes through there's some definitions to explain those points. But that's what we're going to do in a few pages. So got a little link here. It talks about different types of research. I'm not going to go through it right now because it'll take me a while to read through it. But if you can have a read of this article, really interesting article, gives you really good understanding of the different types of research and the comparison between secondary and primary research. Both have their place. Okay. So this is just a summary. It states section A, you must use a range of research. And there's a table on the next slide where you want to explain what the most suitable piece of research would be for each activity. Okay. And it says here as a little hint, try to think of sources other than the internet. It's so easy to just go, oh, find that on the internet. I had a student a few years back who was busy asking me, sir, I'm making a stationery holder, something that's going to hold pens and pencils. How big's a pen? And I went, well, how can we find this out? I know. He went and logged onto the computer in the corner of T1, and I was like, what are you doing? I'm going on the internet. I'm going to find the size of a pen. It's like, but aren't you writing with a pen there? And isn't there a ruler? Practical primary research. It's amazing. But there's so much you can do yourself. Rather than going and taking a photo, if you're making a light, you can go and take a photo of one of these off the internet, or you can look at it in person and go, oh, I know what it feels like. I know how it uses. And actually, this lamp is not very good because it just keeps dropping down. It doesn't stay where I want it to stay. So you can analyze and understand products in a bit more detail by actually looking at them. Okay, really, really useful. So, amazingly, an example there, research topic, investigating existing products, like a lamp. So, primary research, you can go into a local shop, take some photos, or look at products you own. That's a solution, to look at existing products. Going through, there's a number of different things you might need to research there. How might you go about doing them? How might you find that information? Try and avoid the internet. Should take you about 10 minutes, 15 minutes maybe, to come up with some answers there. So here's an example from a previous context. This is from 2 years ago. The context was to meet the needs of people with disabilities. I love this context. Gives lots of scope to do lots of things, but it's also quite a difficult context to think of a really cool project. So, using suitable forms of research, find and write down the definitions of the following terms: needs, people, disabilities. You might know what those mean already. If not, go and have a search, see what the word need means. Okay. So what we need to do is identify some key terms from the context. So with disabilities, broken this down into a bit of a mind map. There's physical disabilities, emotional disabilities, and then you go down next layer, what emotional disabilities, what physical disabilities. And then next to that, you might then come up with some next set of arrows, which will be products that are going to help those. So I don't know, for paralysis, a product, a wheelchair, or something that's going to help me pick up something from the floor, something that's going to help me get out of bed in the morning. That's some products that might help solve that issue. Let's say solve or help with that issue. Okay, so that's how I do my map. Pick the keyword, break it down further, and then start thinking of products that link to that. So this is one sort of the big task. As I said, this is a practice task ready for the non-examined assessment. So it's useful to have a go at this, particularly because if you can do this well, it makes next week particularly easy for you. Now you've researched different types of research and you've found the definition of the key terms, analyze the context. So meeting the need of people with disabilities. So bottom left-hand corner there is talking about disabilities. You can go back to the previous slide and actually look at some of what disabilities there are there. But off the back of here, you can start adding, safety. What safety considerations might I have? What products could I have of design possibilities? What sort of people might I work with or work for? I've got some waggles on the next few pages from different projects as well for you to look at. But I would copy that mind map and have a go at the just populating as much as you can, as many ideas as you can. It's just a nice practice task. It says 30 minutes. It could take longer, could take you less. Okay, as many ideas as you can on there. Here's a waggle. Okay, it's clear, easy to read. Highlighting priorities and headings. Okay, so that person was thinking, I might work on those areas. Another one, nice, clear, easy to read, lovely, neat. Okay, subheadings, keywords, subheadings highlighted, just to bounce some ideas around. And this is an optional task, just because by now you might have spent an hour and a half on all those tasks. You might have spent an hour. Equally, you might have spent 2 hours. So this is an optional task. You can complete a table by adding a reason or justification as to how the problem identifies links to the context. Okay, so if you've, on the previous slide, if you've identified a problem, a product that you could make, explain how that links to the context. Okay, and then identify what research you would do to try and solve that. Okay, so the purpose of this is to, in essence, do one of the tasks you'll be doing next week. Okay, so there is an example. You fill in that table there. Okay, right, that's been quite a long video, 20 minutes, so I do apologize. The important messages are all at the start, so if you're unsure, watch the bit at the start again. I hope you guys are all well. I am looking forward to seeing you back in school as soon as possible. Take care.